morning, students. Before starting our today's lesson, can you answer one question? Which organization was established after the First World War? Yes, that is League of Nations. And we know, students, due to the failure of League of Nations, there was a Second World War. And after the Second World War, the countries which took part and those who did not take part in the World War II, all the countries demanded a peace and avoid war. To avoid war, there was a necessary an organization to establish an organization on the world level. After the Second World War, there was a creation of the United Nations, which is our fourth lesson which we are going to learn today. The United Nations, an international organization, was established to ensure peace and security at the international level. Two world wars were fought at the start of the 20th century. Life and property were destroyed on a large scale in these wars. Two world wars were fought at the start of the 20th century, and life and property were destroyed on a large scale. After the use of nuclear weapons in the Second World War, the idea took root that such destructive wars should be stopped, and that is the collective responsibility of all the nations together. The League of Nations was established after the First World War, and the United Nations was established after the Second World War. The Atlantic Treaty was signed between the Prime Minister of England, Sir Winston Churchill, and American President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Second World War. According to this treaty, a decision was taken to set up a permanent mechanism to establish international security after the Second World War was over. United Nations is the world's largest international organization. It is an organization of all sovereign nations. In the beginning, there were 50 countries. The number has gone up to 193 now. Objectives of United Nations: to establish friendly relations among nations, to enhance international security by solving international disputes, to safeguard and foster human rights and freedom, and to enhance economic cooperation at the international level. Duties of member countries: to respect the diplomatic privileges of sovereign nations, not to attack other countries, and to abide by international laws and treaties. Principles of United Nations. First one, all member nations will have the same status. There is no discrimination among nations based on geographical size, economic or military power. Number 2, all member nations of the United Nations should respect the freedom and geographical unity of other member nations. Third point, all member nations should solve the international disputes and disagreements by peaceful means. Structure of the United Nations. The United Nations Charter describes the structure and functioning of the organization. The United Nations has 6 main organs. First, General Assembly. 2, Security Council. 3, Economic and Social Council. 4th, International Court of Justice. 5th, Trusteeship Council. And last, 6th one, Secretariat. The headquarters of the United Nations is at New York. English, French, Russian, Spanish, Chinese, and Arabic are the official languages of the United Nations. Affiliated organizations. Affiliated means connected with or controlled by a group or organizations. Apart from 6 major organs, there are many affiliated organizations of the United Nations. They are called specialized agencies. The following are some of these important agencies: International Labour Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization, World Health Organization, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, United Nations Children's Fund, that is UNICEF, and United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. General Assembly. All the member countries are members of the General Assembly. The position and status of all countries, whether rich or poor, big or small, is the same. The annual session of the General Assembly takes place from September to December. During the session, the General Assembly discusses issues like environment, armament, etc. The decisions are in the form of resolutions and are taken by the majority. Majority members should pass that resolution. It is a platform for representatives of member nations to come together and discuss issues of global importance. Functions of the General Assembly: to elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council, to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judges of the International Court of Justice, in consultation with the Security Council, to pass the annual budget of the United Nations. So students, in the next part we will learn about other organizations of United Nations as well as peacekeeping force of United Nations and India. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.